For the most realistic steering system available on the market, look no further than Sim Steering from Leo Bodnar. Designed and hand-built at the home of British Motorsport's Silverstone circuit, it's extensively used by professional driver training centres and race teams including Formula 1 since 2010. The high precision and completely linear response coupled with high strength provides the ultimate in realistic steering force feedback. Visit simsteering.com.
There are your champions for World Sport Series 2015. Walk
Racing certainly always walked it this weekend.
Welcome to the Aurora Designs track guide for the Circuit de la Sarthe, of course the host of the 24 Hours of Le Mans here in the Virtual Endurance Championship. This 13.6 kilometre circuit is made up of straights, of corners, and a very, very difficult circuit for these guys to set up cars no matter what category. LMP1, LMP2, GTE Pro and GTE and will all struggle to find that perfect balance around this circuit. Now we're going to go on an onboard lap with the championship leaders in LMP1. It is of course the number 30 Feeder Sport Poland car. So here we are then getting ready for a lap around the Le Mans circuit in the LMP1 number 30 Feeder Sport Poland car, of course your championship leaders. And heading up towards the first turn of the Dunlop curve, and of course this is where you have to line yourself up for the Dunlop chicane and make sure to not use too much of the curb on either side because it'll unsettle the car. Very, very tricky part of the track, especially when it's wet. Now we head up to the S's section, which is a bit of a downshift, and then just trying to line that second part of it up. It's so very, very important on the run down towards Tete Rouge, and this is probably one of the most important corners on the circuit. You need the best run out of it as we head onto the Mulsanne. It's such a long run down to the first Mulsanne chicane. This is where you're getting your highest top speed. In an LMP1 car where we're almost breaching, for most teams, up to 340 kilometers an hour in a straight line, so you need the best run out of Tete Rouge that you possibly can. Of course, on the Mulsanne, here we are at the first chicane, braking and downshifting all the way down to roughly second or third gear and getting the absolute run out of it, because again we have another long straight. There's another one of these, and then of course down to Mulsanne corner. This is the primary overtaking opportunity on lap traffic. It's probably one of the better places on the circuit to do it, as well as on exit of various corners. Now, of course, down to the second Mulsanne chicane, where you've got to pick out your braking point. It's just before the 100-metre board, and then line yourself up again through this section of corners, not using too much of the curb on the left-hand side there on the exit. And then on the run down towards Mulsanne corners, we go up and over the hill and then back down. And as I said, this is another overtaking opportunity on traffic. You don't want to do it on the brakes down to Mulsanne corner. It's better to do it on the straights or on the exit of corners. We run through Mulsanne corner, that kink, and making sure not to run too far wide. The exit is very, very slippery and it will cause you to lock brakes and most likely go off of the road. So getting the perfect run out of Mulsanne corner is absolutely paramount as we head down this double kinked back straight. And on the run down to Indianapolis. It has a kink before Indianapolis that is pretty much flat out. It's just very, very difficult to balance the car right in these LMP1 cars when you're following GTE AMs, GTE Pros, and of course LMP2s for an LMP1 driver. This section is going to be very, very tricky. You're going to lose a lot of time in it as we head through Indianapolis. Very banked, very tricky. You've got to be very careful on that throttle as we head through our notch. Another one. It's so slow in comparison to the rest of the circuit. You've got to be very, very patient with the car. All cars will be tricky through that complex of corners. And now we head to some of the fastest corners on the calendar. The Porsche curves, of course. It's a single downshift on entrance, and then just hoping the car sticks all the way through this 24-hour race. This will be at some extreme speed in all categories. And then almost flat through all of that, and then down to fourth gear. Running out wide is okay here. Just make sure you get over to the right-hand side before the run through the final complex of the Porsche curves. And now we come down towards the Ford chicanes. The first part, you've got to be pretty careful with. The second part is fair game. You can use as much of that as you really want, as long as you don't go out to the gravel and you don't go out to the grass. And that there is a lap around the Le Mans circuit. Hello everyone and welcome to the Virtual Endurance Championship. We are here at Le Mans, the Circuit de la Sarthe, for qualifying for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It's Lewis McGlade with Oscar Hardwick to take you through the 2 hours of action. We'll go over some rules in just a moment. But Oscar, we're here at Le Mans, which is obviously a very popular circuit among many of the drivers. And it's going to be quite a challenging session for these guys ahead of them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a season of split-up qualifying, per class even, not even per prototype and GT. And now for this session, we're going to have gone from a 25-minute with all of your buddies to 2 hours with everybody. Now, Le Mans is a track where you certainly can navigate a lap very quickly with traffic. There's lots of straights, lots of room to move around on those straights, but with this many cars on track, there is a high probability, particularly for the LMP1s, of stumbling into a GT car when it doesn't suit them. So the following 2 hours is going to be about finding a gap in the traffic and putting together your lap absolutely every single time, because you don't know which time it's going to be your best lap with the least amount of traffic.
Absolutely. We have the tiniest of slither of rain threats in the air, but it's so small it's insignificant, and I don't think we're actually going to have any rain, which is exactly what we want, because the last thing, as we were discussing before the broadcast, the last thing we want is a 2-hour session where the first 15 minutes are epic, and then it starts raining and it's really boring after that. Luckily, it doesn't look like we will be having that issue, but as you said quite rightly, that the 2-hour session ahead of us with all of the drivers, traffic management is going to be a very key part of this. It's and also keeping a very cool head. The worst thing you can do is like being an LMP1 driver following like a GTM into Indianapolis and then taking them out at that corner because you needed to be a bit more patient. It's a very tricky thing to navigate. However, hopefully we should be able to get some rules on screen for you just a sec. And as you said, the qualifying format has changed. As opposed to it being the 4 sessions that we've had, one for LMP1, GT, LMP2, GT Pro and GTM, we have a single 2-hour session with all of those classes in. They're all going to be on track at the same time, as you alluded to. And the way it's been defined is it's been the top 10 active teams in the championship that are allowed entry. Of course, Scuderia Leone, who are in the top 10 of the championship, have negated that. They have actually given the pass to Game Area 51. We'll get to that in a bit. And driver swaps mid-session are allowed. However, they must be done in the session as a proper driver swap. You can't leave and then have another driver take over. You must come into the pit lane and provide a proper driver swap. So a few new rules for these guys ahead of them today, and it'll be interesting to see how that strategy works with the driver swaps, because I know at least with your GTM driver, GTM team rather, that one part of the session is for one driver and the other part of the session is for another driver.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting to see what approach lots of different teams take here, because there's going to be teams where the 2 hours is given to their quickest driver over a lap, and then saying, here's 120 minutes, figure it out. And in other situations, there'll be teams that are sort of in that state of, well, we're in the top 10, we're in room 1, there is a 100% chance of us being somewhere between 1st and 10th in our class. And they're just going to let everyone have a go and not worry about it too much. And to be fair, both strategies have their merits. Using this as an extended testing session whilst you've got all of the traffic out there, fantastic idea. You're going to give yourself a really good basis of knowledge going into the race. But of course, on the other hand, you're almost definitely not going to get pole with that strategy. The people that are sticking out there for the 2 hours, finding their best lap, those are going to be the people with the pole. So it'll be interesting to watch, and I think a lot of actual qualifying strategy is going to come into how the grid is set out for the race in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, of course, we are doing qualifying this week as opposed to next week. It's 2 weeks prior to the event. So a lot of these teams, realistically, are actually in the not super early phases. It's not like they've not done any practice. However, we are in an earlier stage of practice than maybe a lot of these teams are used to. And so that's going to play an interesting part with some of these teams as to where they're going to qualify. Of course, with it being a 24-hour race, a lot of teams maybe are less bothered with where they're going to qualify. As the current first laps are being set, it's presently Nikodem Wisniewski for FIDE Sport Poland, of course, your championship leader, who are topping the times on a 15.4, and that's going to be fairly important because I'm not sure how many teams, but I distinctly know that the top 2 in the standings in the LMP1 category have a 1-minute stop-and-go penalty, and I'm sure that's the case across the order, which we will get to a bit later on in the event. But that's going to be, for those kind of teams, it's less important, I guess, where they are actually going to qualify. It's more important for the rest of them to, I don't know, sort of get ahead, I guess.
Yeah, it's a situation that we have been in as a team in the past in the LMP2 at Istanbul. The qualifying was good, but nothing spectacular. But importantly, we were sort of first or second of the people that didn't have a penalty, and you can really take advantage of that situation. On the other hand, this is a 24-hour race. The 1-minute stop and go, particularly around such a long lap as well, rarely puts you into a bad position. It's something that anyone can recover from in this event, whereas maybe in previous 6-hour events they wouldn't have been able to.
Absolutely, yeah. It's with such a long event. Of course, these guys have done a 24-hour race earlier on in the season, for good or bad, however it went. They would have treated that as maybe a testing session, not just for whether you get exhausted or not, but more for keeping your patience, knowing that you've got a 24-hour race ahead of you. It's not 6. It's not a sprint. So it's keeping those things ahead. I'm curious as to see how the traffic management is going to be played by these boys, because it's not if you're going to have any qualifying session where all 40 cars are on track at the same time, it's going to be Le Mans, isn't it? We currently have 38 of them, but yeah, as I say, this would be the perfect track to do it at, albeit it is going to be fairly stressful for these guys.
It'll be fairly stressful. I feel as though the LMP drivers are probably going to be feeling more of that stress. Obviously, a GT car can have their lap ruined by an LMP car, but, giving benefit of the doubt, assuming all of the LMP drivers are sensible and proper in the way that they conduct themselves, that should happen less often. So it'll be interesting to seeing some really rapid times straight off the bat. I mean, looking down here, Adam Taylor, who's currently put himself somewhere in the middle of the GTE Pro field, like really showing off just how important the straight line speed of the Ferrari is going to be. That's another thing. In something like the GT class, where the cars have different characteristics, this is going to be a very polarizing track, given its very, very high speed and then big stops.
Yeah, that's going to be a very, very important thing on the GT field. Of course, LMP2 will run the same car. LMP1 run different cars. However, they are all basically the same. However, that GT Anfield, GT Am and GT Pro, you've got to find the advantage of your car and then grab it with both hands. There's no messing about. If your car's fastest through the corners, that you need to put in someone who's confident through like the Porsche curves and stuff like that. You need to take advantage of whatever car you're in, its specific advantage. Of course, I know that you guys run the Viper, which is supposed to be better through the corners, as far as I'm aware. So
it's better
needs
through
to be
very technical corners.
Yeah.
The high-speed corners and high-speed straights. It is a place where basically you're relying on power and mass to be on your side, and the Viper will not provide you with anything nice in those areas. However, give it the lower speed stuff, and actually with the torque, it can push itself through the direction changes a lot better than the higher power, lower torque vehicles.
Yeah, so you're talking like Indianapolis and Arnage, of course, Mulsanne Corner as well, which is where you're going to be trying to get as much of an advantage. It's not perfect, but it's possible, I guess.
Right at the end of Sector 3 and at the beginning of Sector 1, you'll probably see Vipers basically being quickest with the not the slow, but the tighter, large direction change chicanes going on. The Viper will be more comfortable through there than the likes of the Ferrari. The issue is that that's maybe 2 or 3 kilometers of track around a 13-kilometer track, and the other 10 kilometers are straight. So, yeah, it doesn't balance out particularly well. But again, it's qualifying. The Viper teams, the teams that don't have the Ferraris, for example, we're in there. You're in Room 1. You've got your top 10 qualifying result no matter what happens. So it's kind of something you can leave and not worry too much about, and then just hope for a good race result.
Yeah, absolutely. The race is going to be hopefully a very good race for some of these guys, as we're actually still getting some of the first times for some of these guys. I mean, we've been going for about 10 minutes, so some of these guys are still putting their first times on the board. It's a little bit, sorry, we've actually been going for over 15 minutes. I can't read, but it's interesting to see some of the drivers almost setting times so late. Really, I know it's not that late, but you would have expected within the first 10 minutes everyone to have set a lap time. Really, of course, the difficulties of the circuit mean sometimes that's not possible.
No, and the other thing to bear in mind is that it's about 7 minutes to get 1 lap done. So it's tricky. I feel as though you're seeing about 8 people, 9 people down at the bottom of the timing sheets at the moment yet to set times, and there's definitely a GTE Pro there that's set a time that's not representative, I would think. So lots still to come. Be interesting to see what does come from all of it. And at the moment, as we've already said, Nikodem Wisniewski leading the way, but with a long old time, 1 hour and 3/4 left to go of qualifying.
Yeah. How would you play a session like this? What would your mentality be like? Would you go all out for the first few laps? Would you just try and make sure that you've got a time on the board at least, and then try and play with that? Or I don't know, how would you want to play with this car, with this new qualifying system?
Well, I'd want to come in confident of the setup that I want to use and things such as that. But at the same time, I feel as though there's so much merit to different strategies, to the extent that we are employing different strategies across 2 cars, and you just have to play to the strengths that your team has got. If you've got one guy that's very quick, put him in. If you've got a few guys that are alright, let them swap around and get the experience in the traffic. In respect to just driving the thing, I mean, as many laps as you can do is going to be the way to go, because with the traffic you never know when you're going to get your window. So you need to be out there, you need to be doing laps as often as possible.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I think some of these drivers may do like a 25-minute go for it, and then just have a 5 or 10-minute cool down, go and get a drink, make sure you're comfortable and that you're ready for the next little burst, and you know, playing it as if it's 4 different qualifying sessions that you've already had. Of course, you want to be out on track as much as possible, but you need to make sure that when you get that opportunity, that you take it, that you've got the energy to absolutely go for it. We presently have 39 drivers. We actually have 1 LMP2 team missing. That's the 1 GTE Pro missing. Colours are wrong for us. So that's interesting. I'm not sure which GTE Pro it is, but yes, we do have a GTE Pro missing at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure that they will turn up. Maybe even had just decided that they wouldn't run the full 2 hours, so you never know.
Well, is that a smart strategy to have? We were discussing this, like a lot of teams maybe leaving all of their goods until the final 10 minutes, which I was suggesting over the previous few weeks, that's a pretty dumb strategy considering how many cars there are and everyone's got that same mentality.
If anything, leave all of your good times for the period between 1 hour and 10 minutes and 1 hour and 20 minutes, because no one else will care at that point, and you're more likely to get some free track. Like, you want to pick a weird time to do it. and go for your hot laps then. Another thing to consider, actually, which you kind of tie into just by saying that, is how many people out there at the moment have done their times on multi-lap runs with more fuel, more weight in the car than they would need to do a single lap. And will we, at later points in the session, see them complete only single lap runs?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is with the length of the outlap, I don't know like how much practice you've done. I know it really frustrates me when you've done an entire 3 and a bit minute outlap. Of course, it's 4 minutes for the GTEMs basically. To have done that outlap and then crashed or done only a single lap, like that would frustrate me. I'd want to take advantage of being out on track more and more and limit the time that I'm not setting a timed lap. So there's payoffs on both sides, but I'd almost feel sticking in a few extra litres and doing a couple of laps, maybe 3, would be good. Of course, more than that is a bit pointless when you're actually considering a 3-lap run is about 12 minutes, really, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly, and I'm totally with you to the extent I've not done much practice because it has mostly consisted of doing an outlap and crashing.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a frustrating thing to have to live through and sit through, but I feel as though the drivers on the server today will be the drivers that haven't had that experience, or rather have and have driven through it and have learned how to do laps after their outlap.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also be surprised if you were doing practice this early anyway, mate, if I'm honest.
I know, I've got a whole 2 weeks until anything happens.
Yeah, no, I'd be surprised. I mean, obviously, now we can pull a plug. Nice. Back in mid-Ohio with the VTCC, and how many laps of practice you did for that? Not much?
The largest amount.
Oh, dear.
But it's fine. It's worked out great.
It's okay, there's a reason why you're not in the car.
There is a reason I'm not in the car, and the reason is that Dominion is quicker, and so he can be in the car.
Presently, Dominion is actually 7th in class on a 31.6, so I suppose that'll be alright for you. Of course, his debut in the Virtual Endurance Championship, is it?
No, he is driven for a different team who I forget.
Okay.
I think
yes, because
in one of the GT classes in a BMW Z4, but they weren't going to take part in Le Mans, so I stole him for myself.
So, it's not like you to steal drivers from anyone, is it, mate?
I never do it. It's not happening. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying.
With an hour and 40 minutes to go, I'm actually going to quickly run through so everyone knows what teams we're expecting out there. Of course, I mean, if you're watching this, you probably know already which teams you're looking out for. I'll quickly go through the LMP1 category. We'll do it time-wise, because that makes more sense. Presently, on your pole position is Nikodem Wisniewski in the number 30 Feeder Sports Spelling car on a 15.4. Now, that is going to tumble. I'm aware that they can do under 14s, which you will see the more rubber gets laid down, you will see some 14s. So it's Feeder Sport Poland currently on top, as they are in the championship, and then it's the 143 3-wide motorsports car who have had 2 pole positions in a row in LMP1, so they are looking to stay in contention here today. Doug Henson Racing's number 8 car, the second of the championship, is 3rd. The 007 Team RGPL car, which I believe is actually 3rd in the championship now, currently in 4th position. The 003 Revolution Racing car, the 111 SRVN, the 06 Scuderia GT Italia, the number 37 IRG Motorsports GP car, and the number 38 Champion Racing car. Those are the 9 teams that have actually set times. We do also have the number 7 Doug Henson Racing car, which is the other one that is in LMP1 that has yet to set a time, albeit having quite a few attempts. Another one which, obviously, we were discussing, sometimes it's very easy to crash.
The 7 Doug Henson is having set a time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 16.5, currently 5th.
Oh, yeah, currently 5th. Yep. Well, there we go. I'm wrong. Yes, you are absolutely correct.
No idea what's going on.
I have absolutely no idea what is going on.
In fact, I see only one car having not set a time in the Room 1 qualifying so far.
Oh, we'll get you. I actually see, technically there's 2, because the GTE Pro, the 10th car, hasn't set a time yet. So, yeah. Either way, though, other teams as well. We've got the number 45 Team Spirit Racing car, who were, and Oscar will love saying this, or will love me saying this, that they were denied pole position by our fellow man Oscar Hardwick in the previous round.
Your 100% streak.
Oh dear, they had 6 in a row prior to you destroying that streak. So congratulations, Oscar.
Well, now they can have 1 in a row for Le Mans.
But yes, their pole position streak came to an end. So they're 6 out of 7 over the season, looking to go for 7 out of 8. This time out, and then it's the number 29 SimHQ Motorsports car, the number 75 PRL Logitech Racing car, the number 11 Atlantic Motorsports car, 69 Odin Racing, 60 Scuderia GT Italia, the number 24 Magenta Warriors car, number 121 DR Motorsports, number 13 Flatline, and number 137 RGPL. Now, speaking of the LMP2 field and Anthony Yans and pole positions, you feeling like he's likely to get one this afternoon?
Yes. He is currently the quickest. It wouldn't surprise me if he stays the quickest. It's kind of what Jans does. It required, very odd conditions for him to not get pole position. So, yeah, I don't see it happening. On a dry track with 2 hours, he'll find the time to beat anyone else in that class again. But you feel as though for Team Spirit, they've also had a few, good races and race wins. But in the 24 hours, this is going to be a race where other drivers have to feature a bit more than they have done, and that could definitely bring them under attack from the likes of someone, say, a Sim HQ or even an Odin Racing or Scuderia GT Italia that have probably a more consistently strong lineup than Team Spirit do. Whereas Team Spirit have sort of run their whole season on, let's just let Anthony carry the team.
Yeah, Anthony Jans is a superb driver. He's been doing excellent stuff for that LMP2 team all season, and there's a reason why they're in the lead of that championship. And basically, to lose the championship, he would have to basically DNF from the event. We will get to the championship permutations a bit later on, as Kieran Parker has made an excellent document that goes through all of the different variations of what can happen come 2 weeks' time. Every little detail, what finishes have to happen for people to win. It's a very interesting document. I'm sure I'll post it in the forum a bit later on. Very interesting. But yeah, we'll go through that a bit later on. And we will now go through the teams that we have for GTE Pro, which I'm not going to lie, based on the championship permutations for it as well, I feel that GTE Pro is probably one of the most interesting series that we have at the moment. It's 3 teams can win the race, and if they win the race, they win the championship, no matter what happens to any other team. That doesn't happen in any of the other categories. That is just GTE Pro. So that's really, really impressive. Currently, though, it's the 011 SR VN car. They are one of those teams. Currently on pole position, driven by Bram Beelan, so doing a good job there. He is a very, very small margin. I think it's about 200th of a second clear of Team Vires by Nicky Jakovic, of course. Then it's the number 100 Atlantic Motorsports car driven by Cedo Wyatt. Then it is the 106 Scuderia GT Italia 313 Flatline Racing. The number 2 Northern Light Racing. We'll ignore Adam Taylor, who's in the mix there as well. There's the 101 Atlantic Motorsports car. The number 51 Sim Racing for Holland. And the 151 Game Area 51 team, which is the one that are taking over the slot that Scuderia Leone have actually left open. And the team that was missing, which we did have lovely Mr. Allison say, which was the number 301 Revolution car. So they are the team that is missing, but what an excellent little fight for pole position they have at the moment, with really not much separating SRVN from Team Vires.
Yeah, so that fight's begun. And it's the beginning of qualifying. I'm sure that we'll see it go on. I feel as though Nicky will have a slight hill to climb against the Ferrari today. When talking GT, you've got to be talking about Ferraris doing well. There are, I think, 2, 3 of them. I think there's 2 of them even in GT AM. One hasn't set a lap, and the other one is about 3 seconds clear of everyone else. So,
yeah.
Don't worry, it's not overpowered.
The Oscar salt has begun. But yes, absolutely. The Ferrari is a very, very strong car on that field, and it is no surprise to see a GTE Pro on pole position at the moment in that category. But let's be honest, if anyone can take it to him, it is Nicky Jakovic. He has been king of qualifying this season. I believe it was until the last round or the round before. Every occasion, I think it was last round, Nürburgring. Every occasion that was possible, they started on the front row in that class. That is an impressive feat, either from pole position or from second place. And even to be fair, at Nürburgring, they still qualified fourth, which, let's be honest, is not exactly the lowest position. At the last round, though, they did take their first race win as well. So they are looking for that top form. And that championship, as I say, is really, really good. It's really close. It's Scuderia GT Italia in the 106 car. That is Ferrari as well, is it not?
I think so.
Is it? Let's have a look. Oh, no, that's the Aston, the 106 car. So it's Aston versus Porsche versus Ferrari. That's a nice three-way fight. But yeah, you can't ignore the strength of that Ferrari around this Le Mans circuit. So I honestly have no idea who is going to win that championship, but I guess we'll find out in about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, it'll be a case of who doesn't have the issues in the race, I suspect.
Absolutely. And our final category, which as we pass the first half an hour up complete, is the 845 Dark Racing car driven by Adam Taylor, who's actually got himself up into what would be 7th of the GTEs, which is really not that bad. He's in front of the 101 Atlantic Motorsports car, the 51 Sim Racing for Holland, the 151 Game Area 51 team. So he's doing that against GT Pros, which is very, very impressive. Of course, you've said about how strong that Ferrari is. In second in class is the 102 Atlantic Motorsports car, and they are actually ahead of one GTE Pro as well, so good stuff from them. They are in a Corvette, I believe. Let's have a look. Yes, they are in a Corvette. So they are one of the cars that is in. There's the 43 three-wide Motorsports car. Then it's the 014 Vodbull Racing car, which Darry Tapper's driving. He's doing a very good job. I'm pretty sure that car was supposed to be qualified by James Johnson, but obviously the GTX 900 series issues causing for him. And it's better to have a safe driver in the car that can actually do the lap. So he's doing a very good job. He's about second off at the moment, the car directly in front of him, which, considering it's a Z4, which is really not bad for them. Then it's the 67 Texas drivers car, the ROTW Racing Team car, the number 55. Then it's the number 31 Scuderia GT Italia, the number 42 Magenta Warriors Racing car, which has actually had a driver swap. It's now Reese Gardner in that car as opposed to Eric Strana as the session begun. And it's the number 033 Revolution Racing car and the number 87 KSM Sim Racing Team. So, yes, the GTM field and Ferraris and OP'dness maybe. Obviously, you're a team that has a car that's, let's be honest, not so great in a straight line. How do you deal with that lack of straight line speed around a circuit like this? Is there anything you can actually really do about it?
No, on absolute minimum wings, we have a 10 kilometer per hour deficit to the Ferraris. So they're literally a different class of car around here. So there's nothing we can do apart from go, it's only qualifying, not really care about where we finish and hope that they all crash in the race. Because beyond that, there's literally nothing. There is a pace deficit because of the vehicle that we cannot overcome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you know what it is?
No.
That big wing.
Well, it's not there anymore, is it?
Yeah, I know.
And if it
That's
was
why.
there, it would be producing more downforce.
No. It would it would give you an extra 50 brake horsepower, mate. So it does.
The extra, yeah. That's what we need. Need more horsepower.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Yeah, I drove that
Dear
car.
Santa, for my Viper, I would like...
Oh dear! I'm pretty sure on the back of the Z4 it says underpowered pocket rocket on the back now.
Yeah, you got to feel bad
which
for those
is-
guys as well. They're not in a particularly better situation than the Viper drivers up here.
No, I feel they're coping with it, mate. Why can't your boys? Aren't they supposed to be good at Magenta?
You'll also find that the Z4's quicker in a straight line. So.
They're still right. Many
And for anyone that would like to disagree with me here, Le Mans is actually made up entirely of straight lines and really big ones as well. Yeah.
No, it's not. There's Porsche cars.
Good for them.
And there's
They're a
like
whole
some chicanes and stuff.
tenth of the track.
Yeah, the 13.6 kilometer circuit made up of about 3 kilometers of corners, and the rest of it is all just a straight line.
10Ks of foot hard down in a straight. Really good if you've got a car that does straight lines at all. But if you don't, then never mind.
Of course, we both have excellent memories of driving Le Mans last season. Yours was actually a bit of a struggle in a straight line, if I
I
recall
crashed
correctly.
in a straight line. It's worth pointing out that Christian Michel has gone pole on a 14-4.
Ooh, we were discussing. I say we. I mean, it's because I am part of a team that's in LMP1, so I guess that does make sense. The speed of that Revolution car. Of course, Christian, one of the defending series champions, really, for TXL. I think they finished third here last year, which gifted them the championship. So Christian is no stranger to doing well around Le Mans, and currently places himself in pole position by nearly a second. Again, getting a clear lap is super important around this circuit, and he does depose Nikodem Wisniewski. I'm wondering if, with that 30 number, the number 30 feeder sport car, I wonder if they will put Kuba in it in the final hour of this session. I wonder if that's a thing that they might be considering doing, and having a split strategy with their drivers.
It wouldn't be unsensible.
Mm.
You feel as though Cuba could maybe extract some more pace from the car.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with Nikodem is he is no slowpoke. Of course, this team, not just having won all the races that they've won, but Nikodem has gradually seemed to find pace as the season goes on. He's really struggled with some of the wet conditions back in Fuji and Interlagos. I don't think he actually did Fuji, but he definitely struggled at Interlagos with I think it was about like a 1 lap gap, caught down to about 5 seconds by the end of the race. Not because he's slow, but because he was struggling with those conditions, and he just seems to be unlocking that pace potential more and more often now, and now qualifying that car is doing a very good job in it. Just has to find that extra second, which around somewhere some of the tracks we've been this season, a second sounds like a ridiculous margin, but around here it's really not that much, to be honest.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's difficult to call on that front. And to be honest, I feel as though we're seeing very good times from specific people through the field that aren't going to look that impressive an hour from now.
Oh, absolutely. I think after an hour's time that 3:14.4, I'd be surprised if that was the pole time, if I'm honest, by the end of it. I know we've got an hour and 22 minutes for someone to beat it, and I'm pretty sure that a 3:14.4 is a very, very good time. Certainly not unbeatable. I would be surprised if that remains the top time. Of course, Christian Michel's actually weaving and coming down towards that final complex of corners, and just keeping an eye on your track map. That's so important when you're about to start a lap, because you don't want to mess up anyone else's lap. You don't want this lap that you're about to do to be messed up. And so there's a lot of planning into every lap that you do.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people will be running the ticker along the bottom, and a lot of people will be running a track map to basically keep on top of that kind of thing, because the second you release yourself into a lap where you're going to definitely come across GT cars in Sector 1, it's just, you've ruined it. You've thrown that down the road, you've wasted the lap. So
absolutely, it's a very difficult thing to manage. A lot of people might be running the track map plug-in and have actually recorded a track map of the circuit so they can see in more detail The only problem is sometimes you'll be like, oh, that's an LMP2 car. I'll give that, 15 and a bit seconds. And then, oh no, actually it was a GTE. You've just caught them on the entrance to Indianapolis. It's a very, very difficult thing to manage, and something that is a bit of a talent, to be honest. You need to have the skill, the outright skill, to be able to realise that.
Yeah, and you've got to think that people like Christian Michel or Anthony Ans, Anthony Ans particularly, who put that time in just straight away and has then not gone out properly since. Just went out, found a gap, did a time, stopped. It's like you say, it's a skill. It's another element of what makes the guys driving today quite as impressive as they are, is that it's not just focusing on the lap, it's also focusing on everyone else on their respective laps and trying to miss them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very difficult skill to manage. Not only that, also, but yeah, when you're on a lap, if you know it's 2 seconds up on what you've done, of course that's not going to happen, but say you were on a lap that was a comfortable margin up, and then you come across a GT, you need to have that self-discipline to then go, okay, I've got to stop now. It is a very frustrating thing to have, and I'm sure drivers already, after only 40 minutes, have come across that on at least 1 or 2 occasions. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I've just been watching some of the broadcast and seeing Christian Michel find gaps in traffic, find them on the straights. It requires a bit of luck, it requires all sorts of stuff. But more than that, it's about timing it well and getting yourself in the right positions at the right times to make these passes and make them and not lose time for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say Anthony Ans' time is certainly not clear of the LMP2 field. He's only got 2/10 on them, but the order's currently really remaining the same. We've got a few people that are very close time-wise. Most notably, at least, is 4th and 5th position Stephen Bailey, David Berenek, Doug Hansen Racing and Team RGPL. Separated by 0.003 of a second as Christian Michel improves his pole time. That is a very impressive lap. A 3:13.766, 1.6 seconds clear of Nikodem Verseppi. I've never heard of a lap as fast as that over the last couple of weeks. Of course, the pole time last year was something like a 3:11 or something ridiculous.
We had massively different top speeds last year.
Yes,
so
380 to 390 k's in a straight line, whereas this year it's 340. So work that one out. But yeah, these guys, I've got to take my hat off. That is a really mega lap.
Yeah, we're talking about lap times that could be beaten or not be beaten. That one could be difficult for the rest of the LMP1 field to beat.
Yes, absolutely. I said the 14.4 or whatever it was that he set was going to be difficult. That there is going to be damn near impossible, as Nikodem Verseppi does improve onto a 14.5, which is still a set 1.3 seconds clear of the next car, and he still has 0.7 to Christian. That is a nuts lap time.
Yeah, you can feel as though that competition at the top of LMP1 that we have seen, not necessarily every round, but a lot of the rounds this season, where it gets ridiculous up towards the top very, very quickly in qualifying, that we're going to be seeing that again here today for the LMP1 boys, probably the GTE Pro guys as well, who again still separated by 0.012 for pole. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. Lots of close people at the moment, very few people streaking away, so plenty of time to go, hour and a quarter, about to hit the 45-minute mark in qualifying, and a lot still to come, although that Christian Michel time, like you say, I don't know if I see it being beaten.
It's just, that is such a stunning lap time, to be fair. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we've still got an hour and 15 minutes to figure that out, so you never know. Yeah, that is a properly impressive lap time. But you can't settle a qualifying session now. The thing is, with a lot of drivers that will be keeping an eye on that, I know Bailey will have noticed that, and sometimes you'll see that and you just go, oh, that's not possible, I can't do that. But a lot of people need to find it in themselves to channel that in a lap time. It's just taking a bit through an apex a bit quicker, especially around here. I mean, if you take 1 or 2Ks quicker through Tete Rouge, you can find a lot of time just by doing that. Of course, you can go off the road and have an illegal lap, but yeah, just taking a few more Ks through there. The final chicane as well, you can take quite a bit through that. Of course, as was discussed on the track map, the track guide that we had a bit earlier, that oh, actually, that's impressive. We'll go to that in a minute. The first chicane, the first part of that chicane, you're not allowed to cut. The second part, though, you can exceed on both sides as long as you stay on the curb. However, speaking of things chopping and changing up, Dennis Hadlack, Pirel Logitech Racing, to the pole in LMP2, a 3:29.122, 3/10 clear of Anthony Jans, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to be happy with that one.
Jans is going to have to bring the noise, as it were, and re-establish it. I mean, if Team Spirit Racing didn't get 2 pole positions in a row, whatever would we do with ourselves?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Anthony Jans will not be happy with that. So I'm sure we'll see that Team Spirit Racing do like a 24.1 or something in a minute.
They'll be somewhere up there with the LMP ones. They have the
Yeah,
Ferrari
getting
of LMP2
midfield.
cars.
Just getting midfield on the LMP1 field. Yeah, nice. And of course, we saw this in Room 2 at least back at Nürburgring. If anyone was keeping an eye on Room 2, at one point with about 2 hours to go, there was LMP1 first, and the second and third positions overall were LMP2 cars, which really made me laugh.
Yeah, well, it's how the game works, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
That's another
through
thing,
mistakes of others.
Is how far up could an LMP2 car finish in the race?
Well, considering some of the issues here, we really don't know.
I mean, we're aiming to win overall and then win the LMP1 championship with our LMP2.
With your LMP2 car, nice. Well, that'll get you an LMP1 team next year, mate. I know you really want one.
Well, we do. We really want 2, but we're not getting that. We want 1.
No.
But, and 2. Jimmy, wink, wink, nod, nod. I'll do whatever you want. We want 2.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, if we did, I think that would secure such a position. But yeah, certainly.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from you. I would focus on your own championship, mate. Not going to lie.
Well, our own championship involves we had to fight to get into Room 1 for this, and now not very much can happen. So,
Oh dear. Well, it's speaking of the getting teams in for next season. Of course, this is going to be very important for all these drivers for all these teams to make sure that this round is a clean round. That you don't do anything dumb or anything like that. That when it comes to applying for a team next season, that you have good stature within the league. That you are a team that is wanted in LMP1, that you are a team that's wanted in LMP2, wherever you're coming from, GT Pro. I'm not sure how that's going to work next season. Of course, that's rules to be discussed later on anyway. But you need to have a clean round. You need to secure yourself. And that's the same with LMP1 teams. If they want to get into next season, they've got to make sure that this is a clean round, that this is a good round, that they're not racking up 15 penalties left, right and centre, that they're a team that Jimmy and whoever else would decide, look at and go, yeah, that is a team that we want. Unlike Magenta Warriors.
Yeah, because we've been so bad all season. We've had less
well,
penalties
you have,
than...
mate.
Well,
dear.
I once did a thing on the formation lap in a Viper,
Yeah.
and that was
mate.
it. I've not done anything else wrong.
Lies.
Spa didn't happen. Factually didn't. So I've not done anything wrong. I did that one thing in the Viper, and it's all forgiven, and I've got nice safety rating. So yeah, we're better than all of the P1 teams at this point in that respect, and should be given 10 of the available 10 places next year. So
to quote a normal thing
it's
that
all
you'd
sorted.
say, you're basically Jesus.
Well, that's not what I said. I mean, I appreciate
That's
it.
what you normally say.
I'm flattered, Lewis. I really am. But
oh dear. Oh, we are not good people.
well, speak for yourself.
I do. I speak for the couple. Presently, though, no one is improving. We are seeing people doing close times to their original. And I think the only person that has set a time recently that was their fastest time was Tim Brockmeyer, who is bottom of GTE and KSM sim racing team. But oh, yeah, did we not say that before? Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Sorry, Jimmy is basically just saying that don't sound like one to P2 pole. Yeah, we won't cover that. Oh, there was just a movement there. Who's that? It was the Scuderia GT Italia number 60. Currently P16, moves up to 6th in class in LMP2. That's a good lap time of 3:30.692. Jumps in front of Magenta Warriors.
Yay!
At least with you not being on the server, mate, to see this, you can't like get stressy. All the people that are blocking.
I'm sitting here
Yeah.
mostly watching the Nürburgring 24 and occasionally looking at the live timing.
Oh, you horrible person. Jarl Double Space Tyan has joined the server. That's good.
Jarl double space time.
He's double space time. There's a double space, yeah.
His
It's
mother
not
put that on
annoying
his
at
birth
all.
certificate.
Did he? Did she?
Yeah.
Did he?
Did he? This raises more questions than I hoped to have answered.
Sorry.
Yeah, she did double space on his birth certificate. You can ask him.
Ah, nice. Of course, you and him busy mates, right? Was he
We've
supposed to
known each other
drive?
for a long time.
Was he supposed to drive
Most
you?
people in the field were meant to drive for my team. They just chose not to. Who's laughing now? I mean them. Definitely them. But still, yeah.
Just to
pretty much
point
everyone
out,
was meant to
just
drive.
because I laughed, he doesn't mean me. I was never supposed to drive from Gentle Warriors, because I would never snoop that low.
You'd never snoop that low.
Snoop that low. Snoop Dogg. D-O-double-G, mate. Oh, dear.
Get down with the times.
Oh, dear. The Tyans?
The Tyans. Well, he needs
Yell
to set a
Ty-
lap time, doesn't he?
Yell Tyan to make me angry.
This is definitely going in the direction no one wants it to go in.
Eric would be really, really proud watching this broadcast back. Speaking of which, he is actually in the server getting ready to take over the car from Reese Gardner, I believe.
Yes, Gardner to Strain. Let's do this.
I will say this, speaking of Gardner, because it's a nice little battle, albeit for plumb last, basically. 36 to 38th, which is the Scuderia GT Italia KSM sim racing team, and the Magenta Warriors car. Also, the KSM sim racing team did jump up a few positions recently. Those three are separated by less than a tenth of a second, as that was also the number 30 Scuderia GT Italia car, one of the teams that I was talking about, that jumps up into 5th in class on a 35.203. But either way, it is pretty close there. It's half a tenth now. No, it's not. I'm reading it wrong. I'm wrong. Am I reading it wrong? No, I am reading it right. It is half a tenth between Brockmeyer and Gardner. Wow. I am tired.
Yeah. Have you ever mathematics before?
I did, but it was about 4 years ago. Yeah, I got a grade
That's
and everything,
2
mate.
and 2.
I got a grade and everything, mate. Don't worry.
Well, congratulations. Very impressed. Very happy for you.
Oh dear. But as we all know, grades don't mean anything.
But don't listen to that, kids. Go to school. All of these
Oh,
things.
dear.
Don't do drugs. Get an education. It's important.
If there are actual like people that would believe what we say watching this broadcast, like, what are you doing?
We've been called in to talk literal nonsense for 2 hours.
2 whole hours.
And because everyone's out on track, it's quite difficult to follow. So we'll occasionally say someone did a lap time, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's racing.
Many
Oh
racing.
dear.
Apparently, Joe Chiampa for Odin Racing improved to third in LMP2 as well. So it's actually quite close across the top 4 in LMP2. Only
Yeah.
7 or so tenths of a second, and that's that's an attainable amount of time around this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm looking at a second gap, thinking, yeah, you could work that one out.
We've got a second
But-
covering the top 5 in GTE Pro.
Yeah, I mean, the top 2 in GT Pro are still separated by those 13 thousandths of a second. So that ain't bad. I'm actually
No.
surprised neither of those two have improved.
I would say I'm surprised as well. I feel as though they've not necessarily been out as much as other teams since they set those lap times, maybe taking a more relaxed approach to the qualifying session.
Well, yeah, sometimes the relaxed way is the best way. But I don't know. If I was sitting there looking at a 13,000th gap, I would not stop turning lap. I'd be so furious at that. No, that is not going to stand. From either side, that is.
I don't think that they'll be too upset either way at this stage in qualifying.
Yeah. What about losing a race by 0.02 of a second?
I don't know, but I would suspect someone would be moderately salty.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you ever had a close finish like that?
Yeah, recently. With Strana.
Oh yeah, that race.
Test
race.
Yeah, that was close.
Yeah.
He won. We don't talk about it.
Well, if we start talking about Eric's wins, then, well, you know. We'd go on for quite a while.
Before we instead started laughing about his losses.
Well, they are more hilarious.
Oh, vastly more hilarious.
Losses are always more funny, especially when they involve fuel.
Yes. I heard
Yes.
you started writing a book.
I have, considering over the last, since Sebring, I've run out of fuel in 2 other races, I think. So yes, I am writing a book. It's called I Now Fill Up My Tank at least 15 litres heavier than it needs to be.
He's the guy at the fuel station that just brims it every time, out of fear. I do apologise, I think we're having some lag issues for Lewis McGlade here, not quite coming through properly on the microphone. Still suffering ever so slightly there, I think packet loss on his end. Still looking back, not really very much moving and shaking going on now. We are very quickly approaching the halfway stage of the qualifying session, at 3 minutes away.
Hello?
As I think, yes, you're back. That's
Yes.
That's better.
Okay, good.
And Kieran Parkin has improved to third in LMP1, displacing 3-wide motorsport.
Very nice. Very nice.
Time and cheats. Yeah.
Oh, my game's crashed.
As a game crash there.
Yeah.
Apparently there are a few disconnections from TeamSpeak, so it could just be some TeamSpeak issues that we are encountering at the moment, but that's not the end of the world. It's all still going for the most part.
Yeah, at least the TeamSpeak issues don't happen in the race, or they're very rare to happen in the race. I do distinctly remember back in Sebring, one of the number 9, the drivers for the number 9 car, disconnected from TeamSpeak, and there's this frantic rush when it happens to try and get them back on TeamSpeak or try and guess what strategy they're going to be running.
Yeah, always an interesting one to do. Let's coordinate our strategy when someone's not here to listen about it. It tends not to work particularly well.
What you've got to do is you've got to get it takes a lot of faith both ways. It takes a lot of faith on the driver for the team and on the team for the driver. You know, the driver's got to sit there and go, it's okay, they're aware of it. someone will join the server towards the end of this stint. They know how long I've got to go, and taking it from there. You know, it's a very difficult thing. You need to have, you need to have faith all the way. Much like Lewis Hamilton putting the entire 2016 championship on God's whim.
Yeah, well, judging by how frequently Mercedes make his car work, might be worth it. If I was him, I'd start praying to all of the other gods as well, just for good measure, you know? Because then his car might work. Who knows?
Presently, though, we do have Josh Anderson, who has joined us for this qualifying session. Of course, one of the main commentators for the series. And Anderson, my good buddy, are you looking forward to the 24 hours of Le Mans?
No.
No,
Correct
not
answer.
even remotely. Correct
Yeah.
answer. Same as most of them.
Well, of course
Oh,
I'm looking
dear.
forward. It's Le Mans, for God's sake. Who doesn't look
Yay.
forward to Le Mans?
Me.
Oh, well,
You
you're
should
an
have
oddball then, aren't
heard
you?
Oscar all the way through, because this is why Oscar is not in DHR anymore. This is the real reason. This is going behind the story. That Oscar's not actually in DHR anymore because he was so infuriating through the build-up of Le Mans last season that Bailey just fired him.
Oh, well.
See?
Exactly
oh wow!
what happened.
Exactly.
Exactly what happened. It's not. Bailey didn't fire me. Bailey was actually, he was on at me saying, please come back to DHR, otherwise I've got to keep this Lewis kid. And he
Yeah,
just
no, I'm
seems like
fired
such
now
an
anyway,
unknown.
so it's okay.
Permanently fired.
Yeah, I'm out.
Oh, speaking of which, Casper, you're fired. Why not? I do it quite often. So.
Yeah, he said this last night. I think he was talking about Nico Hillebrand. He said that Nico was fired, and I was like, no, that's yourself, mate.
Yeah, it's not Hillebrand. It's you. There's no reason. It's just you. Speaking of which, we've completely not documented going past the halfway point in the qualifying session, which we did.
Well, it's because I'm still trying to make some graphics, mate.
Still trying to make some graphics.
Yeah, this is much slower than I thought it would be.
Will we have them before 3 hours after the end of the session?
No.
No. It's not going to happen.
But still, we have Josh Anderson here now, so we can talk to someone who obviously has watched a lot of the racing over the season and has watched, I'm assuming, bits of the qualifying sessions. How important do you feel, or lack thereof, because I think, me and Oscar are fully aware as to how important this qualifying session is, but how important is it to go into the race with the pace to set pole position, with the pace to set first, second or third or whatever, or maybe, going through this qualifying session struggling for pace a little bit, like some of these teams that are slightly lower down the order?
Well, it's important to have the confidence, and I think this is going to be a big confidence booster for whoever gets the pole position in. Well, with Christian Michel on pole at the moment, Revolution are going to have a huge confidence boost if they get the pole because, well, they're ahead of the Feeder Sport Poland car by quite a way at the moment, as we alluded to earlier. It's going to take some job, even for someone as good as Feeder Sport Poland and Nikitin Wisniewski, who's in the car at the moment, to get said pole position by that margin. But I think pole here is quite important, but with it being a 24, comebacks could happen. So it's not as important as if it were, say, a 6-hour race.
Absolutely, and as we've already discussed a little bit earlier, of course, there's penalties for the number 30 Feeder Sport car. There's also penalties for the number 8 Doug Henson Racing car. The number 8 Doug Henson Racing car is a bit lower down than maybe they would have anticipated, but I'm sure they will move slightly up that order as this session progresses. A lot of teams out on their outlaps or preparing for a bit more. Of course, passing the hour mark, a lot of these guys are likely to have taken a break. Had a short period where they've just had a breather, gotten themselves ready, and with 1 hour to go, they are in the zone. Possibly some driver swaps in there as well. Various other drivers taking over, and just getting themselves ready. I've not actually seen too many driver swaps, to be honest. It's mainly only been that the Magenta Warriors car that I've seen is really the only one that's changed drivers.
Yeah, again, it wouldn't surprise me if most people didn't and just went with the fastest guy and aimed for the best result.
Indeed. It's yeah, it's very difficult. I'm seeing a lot of these teams setting close times, but not too many teams are actually completing laps, Josh. So um, I don't know if you have actually driven this build of this circuit. Actually, I think you did for the 24 Hours of Le Mans at a different league, probably about 2 years ago, in some flat sixes. But talk to me about the difficulties of Le Mans, of like how difficult this track can be, and yeah, just how much of a struggle. Actually, no, we've just had just very quickly, we had a switch here. It's the 007 Team RGPL car that have jumped from 6th to 5th in LMP1, so there's a change. But yeah, those difficulties, how hard is it to actually to complete consistent laps around the circuit?
Oh, you're taking us well back there with that race, like. It was like
I know.
10 years ago, wasn't it? It was on Factor 1 as well.
Yeah, in flat
Completely
sixes.
different simulator. Yeah, you're taking us well back there. I remember how badly that went, but it's just the length of the track. It just makes it so difficult to memorize. I mean, if you're not as experienced, I mean, I wasn't back then. I was only about a year of sim racing experience behind us, and memorizing a track like Le Mans in a car that's tricky as a flat six, you're asking a bit much of us there. But it is a very tricky track when you're not used to it. You know, it's like you've got all these corners. Obviously, as you get more experience, you can go, all right, okay, so, you know, I know how Indianapolis is supposed to be taken, and I know how the final chicane is supposed to be taken. And, you know, as someone myself who kind of goes on instinct rather than anything, you know, I don't commit corner speeds to memory. I'm more of like, this is how fast I feel it should be taken. But, you know, it can be quite tricky because you've got to, obviously, for extended stints and endurance session, you've got to keep an eye on, right, this has to be done this quick. I've got to keep my tyres this much. In a qualifying situation, there's probably less pressure on remembering these things in a race, because if you mess up in the race, that could be it. But in qualifying, you just go out again.
Yeah. I mean, there's almost like that niggling feeling that makes it even harder to be consistent in this session, because you're just sitting there going, oh, you don't want to leave a tenth through that corner, you don't want to leave that here, you don't want to leave that here. You need to push, and so you go through Indianapolis or Arnage, which are two of the really slow speed corners on the circuit, and you just think, right, I'm going to slam the throttle down now because that'll give me some more time. And then you spin, and then you ruin another lap. And not only has that ruined that lap, you've also put, for the LMP1 boys, it's 3.5 minutes on an outlap. For GTE, that's 4 minutes on an outlap. And until that point, that'll be about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes of a lap to that point. So you've wasted 7 minutes right there. But then if you don't, you'll be sitting there going, but there was that extra tenth, there was that extra bit. And if you've gotten around to that point in the lap, and you see that you've got clear lap in front of you, you need to push. So it's such a difficult scenario to qualify around this circuit just because of its length. We also just had an improvement in LMP2. It's the number 24 Magenta Warriors racing car, which has gone to 5th in class, a 30.102.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. It hasn't quite showed up on my live timing. I'm just trying to load it to the server, actually. Let's have a look at this. I've just been sent something. Is this a better one? Okay, yes it is. There you go. Better live time until I get the server. Yeah, they have just gone 5th, and that's fantastic. It's another place gained, and as you say, around a longer track like this, it is a nightmare to qualify, because you make a mistake, you've got the rest of the lap to think, hang on, this isn't going to be quicker. So, if you make a mistake or something, it's even worse at the North side, but that's like 7 minutes long in most cars.
Ugh.
I mean, I think with WTCC qualifying just happened, and if you're going to get like 2 runs in the session, if you get a blue flag or a yellow flag or something like that, right at the end, that's your entire lap ruined.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully not to be super spoilery, but that session was full of of yellow flags, red flags, of people that just try and take that extra little bit because obviously have the length of the lap. And it's the same thing here. The length of the lap, you don't have many goes at it, so you need to take advantage of every single one. It's not like a 25-minute session where you get quite a few goes. You're in the zone all the time. Here you're taken in, taken out, in of the zone, with all the traffic and stuff like that. It's such a difficult thing around here. We'll go through the top 5s of each series shortly, and Yeah, as I say, we're approaching that final. We've got 50 minutes to go in the session, so we're approaching the final sections of this qualifying session, and some of these pole times are looking fairly strong. We still have. It's actually bugging me now. Someone improve. We still have the 13 thousandths of a second separating P1 and P2 in GTE Pro, which is obviously our closest pole time. It's still that 13.765 that is the pole time in LMP1 by Christian Michel, and it is still the 29.1 for Dennis Hadlack in LMP2. Brambilan currently on pole position in GTE Pro, and it's still Adam Taylor on a 35. A 35. Wow, that'd be pretty quick. A 51.557 in GTM, which I'm pretty sure in GTM that is nearly 2 seconds clear of. No, that is more than 2 seconds clear of the next car.
Well, that's quite phenomenal, especially because the GTM cars are slower as well. It's not like these are the same spec; these are actually slower cars.
Yeah.
So to be 2 seconds ahead, I think Dark Racing will definitely have their eye on GT Pro next season.
They will be forced up if that's still a thing. Yeah, there's no way.
They're like, you're going up, you're not staying down here. Get up there.
Yeah, they're a team that even at the start of the season, not a team. They have become that team, but it's still with like drivers like Adam Taylor. At the start of the season, there was still a lot of doubt if he should have even been in GTM. But of course, there's no, at least at the moment, there is no specific system that would dictate whether someone is a pro driver or an AM driver, which means that it's both fairly open. So it was a difficult call, but as I say, he is currently qualified as the 7th GT, not just GTM or whatever. That is something, yeah.
The big day, in a car that's slower, it's quite something. Yeah, I mean, obviously, whether being the Viper as well, I don't know how the straight lines.
No, it's not Viper.
It's not a Viper.
No, it's a Ferrari.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, I'm confused with Virtual GT, where he does actually drive a Viper. Same
Absolutely.
car. So yeah, with a Ferrari, it's a strong car overall as well. It's quite a strong automobile, and the top speed heavy cars like the Aston Martins will probably benefit here on the back straight, but then you got the cars which quite balanced because you got the handling cars like the Porsche as well, which will really benefit around the other end of the circuit. When you think about it,
it's a very tricky thing, isn't it, to have a car set up around this circuit?
Yeah, it is. You're going to benefit in some places and not benefit in others,
Oh, that was the 4th place now in LMP2. The number 11 Atlantic Motorsports car, driven by Tonga Guardia, jumps up into 4th position. He's about 7/10 off of pole position, has set a 3:29.825. That's a pretty handy lap time there. So there is an improvement in that category. But yes, not so many improvements at this point of the session, as we have 45 minutes to go here, or just over. Do you think we're going to see too many improvements? Because this is something that me and Oscar were discussing a little bit earlier about how to play the strategy of this session, when to be on the laps, when not to, etc., etc. And what I was saying to him is you don't want to leave it until the final 5 or 10 minutes, because everyone else is going to be on track at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the case. Obviously be the case there. I think I've just seen an improvement somewhere in GT, but I don't know if that's just me being late.
You did, yes. The 55 ROTW Racing Team car, that actually improved to 6th position in GTE AM. That would be your improvement there. So that's a fairly good qualifying effort from them so far. Of course, they're a long way off of pole position. In fact, that time there, that 55.2 is actually about 4 seconds off of class pole.
Yeah, I mean, that's not. It just kind of shows, really, again, the length of the circuit can make things. It can really expand the gap, so to speak. Where you'll have people that are there or thereabouts. I've completely lost my words there, but yeah, it's a long circuit, and you don't can expand the gaps. It makes it harder to stay closer because you need to be more consistent through each sector and closer to the top pace. You know, if this is like on a track which is shorter, like a minute 20, you know, you're going to expect it to be more bunched up because people are going to be close together. But this is almost a 4-minute track, so, or, you know, just over 3 minutes if you're in a Prototype 1, just under 4 minutes if you're in a GT. You know, I've just seen a change in GT Pro as well there. Somewhere in GT Pro, I've just seen position change.
Yeah, Nicky just moved up onto pole position in GTE Pro. He actually just moved ahead. Finally, that 13 thousandths of a second gap has come to a close. Now it's 10 thousandths of a second. So it's actually come down. Albeit, though, you do have a new pole sitter in the LMP2 category. Another improvement just now was the number 60 Scuderia GT Italia in LMP2, which has moved up into 6th position in class. So, yeah, very impressive time from Nicky Jakovic. Of course, has mostly qualified second or first this season. In fact, back in Nürburgring, as we discussed a bit earlier, was the first time that he actually qualified outside of second. He qualified 4th, which is a ridiculous record to have in this series, especially in GT Pro, which is such an incredibly competitive category here in the Virtual Endurance Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be that high up so often, it's consistency, and it's, you know, in some ways, some places as competitive as this, it's a great record to have as well. You know, this is good. It shows how good they are.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wish I was that good. I'm not, but if I could be second all the time, I'd be a very happy man. Instead, I'm second or last all the time. Especially in cars like these.
Yeah, the GT field, at least GT Pro specifically, is a very, very competitive category. It's very strong. And yeah, I mean, I'm awful in GTs. I hate them. But yeah, I've really got to respect Nicky Jakovic, who's doing that in a Porsche against Brambilla, who's in a Ferrari. That is no disrespect to Brambilla. That is an amazing lap time that he's done. But Nicky Jakovic, presently around this circuit, dragging that Porsche around, which is by no means a bad car. It is a very good car in that category. But I would still go to the side that the Ferrari is the slightly better car around this circuit. So Nicky Jakovic has got the setup on that car working absolutely spot on.
It's almost harder when the gaps are small. I mean, there's only about 100th in it, you know, between Jakovic and Balin at the moment. So, you know, he's really not far behind his Bram, and he's got to find a little bit over the whole lap, and that's really difficult. Rather than saying, I've got to find a whole second, you've got to find like hundreds of a second. So you know you've got to push as hard, or maybe go a lot quicker, but it's difficult because you don't know where you can go quicker sometimes. I've been in that situation in the qualifying session where I've been trying to go quicker. I was like, I can't go any quicker than this. I'm pushing it as hard as I can. And then all of a sudden, when I can't, I go way quicker. I mean, I was in a race once before where I was like, out of 27 cars, I was like qualified 24th, and then I did a phenomenal lap on the last one and went like 9th. So I can, you know, it can come at the times where you expect it least.
Absolutely. It's, yeah, exactly. We've got Ben Willis, who's currently in here as a LMP2 driver, I believe. Is Ben here?
Yep, hello.
Okay, so Ben, as an LMP2 driver, of course, how... I want to know what it's like being in a traffic management situation, in a qualifying situation like this, which is, of course, something that none of these LMP2 drivers have actually been through this season, but just how stressful is it? What's it like?
It's a lot of work, because obviously we're having to watch out for the P1s that are, you know, a good 20 mile an hour faster through everywhere. You know, we're always getting very close behind. But at the same time, we've got to keep our eyes out for GTs in front, make sure we're giving them a bit of respect as well. So there's a lot of observation all round and stuff, and that's sort of hindering us at the moment actually in qualifying. We're struggling to get a clean lap because we should be, you know, a good second, 2 seconds faster really. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a difficult scenario. Well, I could only imagine what it's like to be on a lap as an LMP2. I've always stated this, that LMP2 is probably the field in VEC that I'd least like to do, purely based on the fact of you're not just watching your mirrors, you're keeping an eye on the cars in front, you're keeping an eye on, you know, whether you've got enough gap to a GT Pro or GT Am, whilst also trying really hard not to mess up the laps of the LMP1 cars that are flying through. Speaking of LMP1s, the 007 Team RGPL car of David Berenek has actually improved to a 15.312, currently 3/10 off of third position, and moves the number 7 Doug Henson racing car down to 5th.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's a big learning curve, but it's great preparation for P1. It's really good. You know, you're not driving the top of the line car. You're getting used to what a prototype drives like, feels like, all the strategy that goes with it, and you're constantly improving. You know, your traffic management skills. So it's a good stepping stone for sure.
Yeah, indeed. I will quickly go through the top. I'll just go through the top 10 of each category, which is all of them, very quickly whilst we're here with 40 minutes to go, and we'll see how much this can change as the session progresses. It is still the 003 Revolution racing car on your pole position on a 13.765. Heading the number 30 Feeder Sport Poland car, who's in second, of the 143 3-wide motorsports car. The 143 car is the one that has the most pole positions this season, and they are currently on a 2-pole streak. Can they make that 3? They need to find 1.3 seconds to do so. Then it's the 007 Team RGPL car, then both Doug Henson racing cars, the number 7 ahead of the number 8 car. Then it's the 111 SRVN car, the 06 Scuderia GT Italia, the number 37 IRG Motorsports GP car, and then the number 38 Champion Racing car. The Champion Racing car appearing to struggle a bit at the moment, quite a way off the pace. But then currently on your provisional pole position in LMP2, it's the PRL Logitech racing car of Dennis Hadlack. Not a car actually expected to be on pole position, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would suggest that it was expected to be Anthony Yans, who is currently in second position, about 3/10 off. So maybe there's a little bit more time in the number 45 Team Spirit racing car. Maybe there isn't. We will wait and see. Then it's the number 69 Odin racing car of Joe Ciampa, who's a further 2/10 behind. Then it's the number 11 Atlantic Motorsports car, the number 29 SimHQ Motorsports car. Then it's the number 60 Scuderia GT Italia, number 24 Magenta Warriors, number 121 DR Motorsports, which is the team that Ben Willis is a part of. Then the number 13 Flatline racing car have just moved up into 9th in class, ahead of the 137 Team RGPL guy, who's about their third appearance in Room 1. They've been meandering around Room 2 pretty much most of the season. Then currently on your pole position in GTE Pro, as was discussed just a second ago, is the number 99 Team Vires car that's moved on to pole position, 100th clear of the 011 SRVN car. The 100 Atlantic Motorsports car is in third. The 106 Scuderia GT Italia follows that, number 2 Northern Light racing car. Then it's the 313 Flatline racing car. Then it's the, well, I'll read it out in class order. Then it's the number 51 Sim Racing for Holland car, the 151 Game Area 51 team, the 101 Atlantic Motorsports team, and then the 301 Revolution Racing team, of course, late to the party. Then GTE Am is Dark Racing currently on pole position. Again, 2 seconds clear of the next GT Am car, which is the 102 Atlantic Motorsports car, the number 31 Scuderia GT Italia, the number 43 3-wide Motorsports car. Then it's the 014 Vodbull racing car, that Z4 being pulled around at the moment by Jone Simic. They've actually had a driver change in that car. The number 67 Texas Drivers car, the number 55 ROTW racing team car, the number 42 Magenta Warriors racing car, again, another driver swap there. It's Eric Strana back in that car. Then it's the number 87 KSM Sim Racing team, and then rounding out your entire grid is the 033 Revolution racing car. So that is 40 teams. And of course, despite the Dark Racing car being up there really amongst the GT pros, they will still have to start back with the normal GT Yams as far as I'm aware. So it will still be LMP1, LMP2, GT Pro, GT Yam as normal starting orders are in the series. And currently we have the return of Oscar Hardwick, another LMP2 driver.
See?
Hello, Oscar. Hello.
Hello.
But yeah, we've had a change of pole position in GTE Pro, mate.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. It's now a smaller gap, though. So there you go.
That's
There's
impressive of them.
Yes. That is a nice time from Team Virus's Nicky Jakovic, and yeah, that's looking pretty strong. I also think, although probably have just blanked it a bit, I don't know when I went through it. The number 100 Atlantic Motorsports car, I believe that recently went to third because I don't remember the gap being half a second to the next car. I believe it was actually about 6 or 7 tenths. So I think they might have slotted into that gap there with Cedo Wire behind the wheel. Of course, a driver that we know from the now non-existent Porsche Super Cup. Yeah. So, Oscar,
Yes.
we have 35 minutes remaining. Can anyone, does anyone from pole position, or do you feel that maybe teams like Revolution, like PRL Logitech, might be a bit more comfortable now?
I think SRVN can still cause virus issues in
Yes.
Pro. Taylor is clear in AM, that's not under threat. Seems to be quite a lot still to be settled in LMP2. Like, we've not seen Jans improve since the first 10 minutes of the session. So I expect to see some more moving and shaking there. And, I mean, Christian Michel's improved again by about a tenth. So he's a full 9/10ths clear of anyone.
Yeah.
So I don't see anyone beating him, but there's a lot to be fought for in the sort of mid to low 15s from third back in LMP1. So that'll be quite interesting to watch as well.
Yeah, of course. I'm at least mostly aware that Kieran and Bailey in the Doug Henson racing cars, they've both got a bit more time in hand. Just haven't yet been able to put that time out there. I'm seeing quite a few times that are coming through of people that are not improving but are still completing times, though Eric Strana did improve his time to a 3 minutes 55.453, albeit an improvement. He didn't gain any positions from it, which is, I feel, probably a fairly common thing around Le Mans.
And I think another good thing to take from today has been the weather for the drivers.
Yes.
Because this could have been so much more tedious with changeable conditions or even just flat out wet conditions. And could have, set a grid that wasn't representative of the pace of the drivers taking part. Whereas at the moment, I feel with the conditions that we've had, it's all very representative.
Yes. Of course, race pace, as I'm sure everyone will know, race pace does not dictate qualifying order. Where there's been plenty of occasions where a team has qualified really well and then struggled to convert that. One team that was that team was Team Virus. They really struggled to get that first win under their belt, but obviously did back in the previous round. So it's a hard conversion because you also got to remember that it's not just one driver in the car.
Well, for Virus, it took them not starting from the front row to actually convert to a win.
Yeah, it's weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah, start from fourth and they can win, but put them first or second, they've no idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's odd. It's odd. I don't get it, but I guess it's just one of those things. Almost in a way, when you're pushed a little bit further down the order, you have to dig a bit deeper in the race. You know that you have to remain consistent to gain those positions. Yeah.
Just missed a bit of what you said there, a bit of lag. Sorry.
Oh, good. Excellent. I love lag.
It's brilliant. Lag for the win. We all love lag.
Good
It's
job.
brilliant. Fantastic. We should have more of it. We should have a section of the race where we all go a bit laggy.
Well, I'm sure we will when it comes to the race day, because we'll have James Kirk and he usually has some beautiful lag issues. I'm not quite sure what's happening with the broadcast in what, 2 weeks' time? God,
I'll be there.
You'll be there. I'll be around, I guess. I do have a car to drive, so
Same here.
who knows? Yes. Of course, actually, speaking of Ben and racing the car, of course, we've discussed with Oscar as well. What are you do? What differences are you going to play? I'm assuming you've already practiced a little bit, Ben, or not quite?
I've just sort of finished exams, so it's this week. I've just managed to get a few laps on, but there's no plans for me to jump in today. No way. 'Cause I'm
Okay.
nowhere near the pace of of everybody else. So for me, it will probably be sort of a couple of hours of just making sure we get it around the track and just making sure it's not in a wall. So
Yeah.
Uh,
How are
uh,
you
yeah.
gonna go through practice with the team over the next 2 weeks? Because it's a 2 week period this time, not 1 week.
It is. It's quite
Uh,
nice. We don't have to rush with anything. I mean,
Yeah.
we've pretty much got a set nailed down. We just need to tweak a few things. We're experiencing a bit of understeer in some corners and that. But the problem with Le Mans is it's just so hard to set up a car around here because it's like a track of two halves. You know, you need the top speed down the Mulsanne, but then especially with Porsche curves is where we're struggling. We just have no front grip at all. So hopefully we can get that nailed, and then it's just gonna be a case of, you know, probably working together, trying to do some laps, try and sort of stimulate a little bit of traffic maybe, and see what we can do.
Yeah, there's half an hour to go, but as you say, this is the thing, right? You suggest the idea, oh, let's just change this, and then it quickly turns into let's change that as well, and try a bit of this, and
but it's got to work for every driver as well. So it's no good me saying, oh yeah, I won, I don't know, 1 click less at the front roll bar, and then everybody else is like, well, hold on a minute, that changes the balance for me. I prefer it how it is. So it's very much a case of compromise.
Yeah, in LMP1, of course, we also have like torque splits and stuff like that, and it gets very, very tricky. Or you could just do what Oscar does, the excellent thing of, yeah, I'm just running a setup from Brands, mate. Thanks.
Well, clearly, Brands is every track.
At Le Mans.
I'm running the Brands set for Le Mans. Same gearing and everything.
What Brands Indy?
Yeah, it was Brands Indy as well. Yeah.
That'll be fine.
A quick update on two teams in LMP1 at least is the 06 Scuderia GT Italia, who moved up into 7th position on a 16.7, and it was also the number 8 Doug Henson racing car that has moved up into 8th position on a 15.2, although as I have suggested on plenty of occasions, the number 8 and the number 30 in LMP1 both have drive-throughs, or stop and goes rather.
Is it just there? Has the gap between Michelle and Wisniewski increased?
It did a little while ago. Oscar pointed that out, that Christian did improve a little bit, and it's now a 9/10 gap as opposed to a 7.
I'm completely inept. I didn't notice that.
You tend to see what you want as well sometimes. It's like, oh, is there a gap? Is there a bit more of a gap there? Oh,
I think we're just
at the times.
What it is I think we're just looking for something to commentate on, and we're spectacularly failing.
Yeah.
It is interesting to point out that I think Michelle's 3:13.6 is a good way faster than the actual lap record that was set at Le Mans qualifying last year by the Porsche.
Way slower than the lap record set in VEC at Le Mans last year.
Yeah.
Wow, there you go.
Exactly, you see?
Honestly, last year, I'd never raced Le Mans before. I cannot tell you how difficult it was to try and learn the track at 380 kilometers an hour.
It's not fun, is it?
It was not fun. I mean, it was hilarious how quick we were going.
It's what, 339 this year? And we were clocked in the mid 380s last year in race.
Jesus.
Like, I mean, it's all well fair and well being quicker than reality, but I was quick. I mean, I did an Indianapolis 500 running once, and I did a qualifying time that would have probably put me like 27th in the actual Indy, and I was no good. I was rubbish, and that put me last. Reality sucks.
Yeah, but you're probably using a mod made by children with 3 fingers, you know. Just generally awful.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Hey, how do you know? Look, let's be honest. There's probably some kid out there that's got 3 fingers that can make a really decent mod. Don't diss
exactly.
Oscar.
Don't diss Oscar. They're probably really offended now.
Okay, I'll get over it.
Oscar, our lovely controversial person here.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
You
You see the time differences because people make tracks and make mods poorly for the most part.
There's
That's
really
a fair
good ones
point.
out there though, like this one.
Actually, in saying that, I did just think we are using the 91 layout of Le Mans,
We are using
which
the
is
91 layout.
which misses 2 corners completely. So
But it's the best one.
it's also there's just not a modern stable build.
The best layout of Le Mans is the layout where you look at it,
This would be
leave
good.
and go to a different track.
Yeah.
24 hours of Brands Hatch Indy, anybody?
Absolutely, I'm down with that.
Oscar is very much set on replacing apparently every track on the calendar with Mid-Ohio.
Oh no, I can't stand the place.
The
24
thing
Monaco,
is that
now
we
it's
drove
on.
it once and there were like no bugs and it works and all of these things. So that's why I keep suggesting it. Although to be fair, I think compared to last year, Le Mans less problematic than it was.
I think
Wow.
the erroneous curbs seem to be sorted.
Well, I mean, it's less problematic on that point of view. There are obviously more problems in others, although that's not a Le Mans issue. But I'm just poking fun.
That's a you crashing into things issue,
Thanks.
really, isn't it?
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Stationary objects for the most part.
Oscar just destroys the mood there.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
I was having a
Nope.
good time here until he said that.
Oscar bringing the edginess to the conversation.
Someone's got to. Alternatively, isn't everyone doing a great job?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone's doing brilliantly. In for effort.
Oh, the number 7 Doug Henson racing car does a 14.6. That almost puts him up in second position, just under a tenth off. That's a good time.
Now just
Yeah.
go 1.2 seconds quicker and have a new pole sitter.
But yeah.
Sound difficult.
Yeah, just find 1.2 seconds, Kieran. It's easy. Don't worry about it.
This is Kieran we're talking about, though. It's not beyond him.
KP obviously was challenging for pole back in Interlagos, managed to set the time for pole position, but had it taken away, or submitted a slower time.
Really the same.
To be fair, he cut less than I did at Interlagos. So
That was the year before, though, wasn't it? Or was it?
no,
Did you cut this year
at
as well?
Interlagos, I cut every single lap.
Again?
Yeah.
Goodness sake, man!
It's a
Every
bad.
single
I keep
lap.
saying it's a rubbish track, but no one
It's
listens
not.
to me.
Well, just
It's not
don't cut.
rubbish. Oscar doesn't know what that means.
Oh, he doesn't know what that means. Oh, is that why
Don't
he's
cut.
so
This
quick?
is why I DNF in Dirt Rally all the time. Don't cut. Nah. You're wrong. I can do it.
You're wrong. Yeah, go Eric on it.
I'm quite good in Dirt Rally, if I'm honest. It's one of my better things, Rally, but then again, I crash a lot, so... But I only
Well,
seem to crash
that's
on
the
tarmac.
opposite.
I only seem to crash on tarmac. Dirt, I can handle fine, but I'm slow. It's just tarmac, I'm really quick, then I crash.
Hmm.
Except, of course, with the state of, this, it's all tarmac, as are most circuits these days, except the ones that have been torn up.
Rip them
We
circuits.
should do a GT Rallycross event someday.
They're
I did-
currently doing.
I did
Yes.
watch. Oh yeah, no, we're not. No spoilers.
Yeah,
Absolutely
come
no
on.
spoilers.
Oh.
I've already had
Spoilers,
other things
Oski.
spoiled for me.
Plus,
Gandalf
no
is
spoilers.
Luke's father. Wait.
Oh dear. Well, at least Oscar, if you have, if you are going to spoil something, at least do what I did, which was spam chat, so it then disappears off the screen for a bit. You know?
Yeah. Oh,
Exactly.
It's horrible being in such a position of power. You know that thing that you've been watching? I've already seen it.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's
Irresponsible.
people are
traffic
awful.
here.
It is. Because Oscar he'll entice you with things like, oh, it was really good, it was so good, and then you're just sitting there going, oh, was it? And then you watch it and go, oh, God.
It's frustrating
letdown.
because all of the jokes that I just thought of weren't suitable for a stream.
That's normally the case, to be honest.
Very upset.
Having known you for about 3 years, there's very little you say that's appropriate for a stream.
I think most of what I say is appropriate for the stream.
No.
Yeah, what's the percentage on most? About
At least 51%.
at least 51%. Wow. Fair enough then, that is most.
Oscar's wrong. I will say this though, we are approaching those final 20 minutes, so people do not have many more attempts to get that lap absolutely
Anthony Yans has
right.
gone pole. No,
Did he
hasn't.
really?
Oh, well, no
I'm lying.
surprise there.
I'm lying.
No, he's lying.
Oh, you are lying.
Yeah, I
right.
refreshed the live timing and it showed him in first and then refreshed itself again and didn't.
Oh, yeah, but he's not that far off.
No.
No.
Team Spirit might not get pole again.
I wouldn't that be a surprise?
Yeah, but I don't know.
That's thing, though. I
I-
mean, the thing about, again, as we alluded to earlier, it's a longer race. Being on pole is as important.
Oh, I will also say this that I didn't notice. Team Virus actually improved. They have improved to a 47.930, which is about 4 tenths now clear of SRVN. So that gap that was sitting for pretty much the entirety of the session at around about 100th of a second, either way, even with an improvement, finally has gotten themselves a bigger gap, which is always a nice thing to do. I think I see Christian's still going out on track. Respect to Christian for not giving up, and he still wants to. He's not impressed with a 13.612. He wants to improve that lap time.
Yeah, because he's obviously not 9/10 clear and needs to really improve at this stage.
Or maybe he cut and he needs a second.
It's a very good point. Maybe he did. You'd think one of his 13s would have been alright though.
I would, yeah. I mean, he's set plenty of times that have been pole times. I'd be surprised if at least one of them wasn't legal, because I mean, there's been 3 or 4 at least. And obviously, we do have track exceptions around here. It's the right-hand side as you exit Tete Rouge, and the final chicane, as far as I'm aware.
Yep, that is the correct ones.
Yeah. God, I know things. Wow.
I do agree. It's
as if I
very easy
drive
to
in
go
this week.
wide. Very easy to go wide at Tete Rouge, though. So
It
easy.
is. It is. Very nearly ended our race a few times last year.
Mm.
Right, Oscar?
Yeah, I mean, most of it nearly ended our race lots of times until our race ended.
Oh dear, I put everyone out of our misery. It was great.
Yeah,
Oscar
I
even
actually,
thanked me.
I'm offering €5 to anyone in my LMP2 team that writes the car off.
Only 5?
Only 5?
Yeah.
That's not very
If
much,
they,
is
if
it?
they
Offering
crash
20?
it before I have to get back in, then it's all happy, right? You know,
It's below
go to
minimum
bed.
wage. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's not
Yeah,
up
it's
the age.
'cause-
There's a national living wage in England now.
Well, that's
Although
interesting.
saying that, I'll get myself fired. I'll come drive for you, and then I'll write the car off. Is that okay? I'll take the €5
Works for
payment
me,
just for
mate.
that.
Works for
All
me.
right. Good.
Can
I
you
don't
do
even
it
have
to
to do
turn one?
practice then? Yeah, I don't even have to do practice. It's all good.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. That is. I don't even have to worry about driving. Great.
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm still sad about last year, mate.
I'm not. I had a lovely night's sleep.
You're really not a good person.
I try my best.
Oh, there you go. Jimmy Allison threatening to boot the car. Does he get the €5,
Yeah, it
Oscar?
works for me, man. Yeah,
Give
There
sure.
we go.
5 years to Jimmy, have the
Absolutely.
servers keep going.
I can just imagine him typing /kick now.
Yeah, not now. Now it's in the race, Jimmy. In the race. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear. I'm pretty sure Damien might be a bit shocked to see, you've been kicked or something like that. Oh dear. I've never been kicked from a server, so I'm assuming now that I've said that, I'll get a first-time experience at some point randomly in practice.
Ooh. Yes, I can do that.
Wait, sorry, what?
I think so. Maybe. Who knows?
Do you even have the right password for this?
I have one from Porsches that doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, it's not. Nah.
No.
Jimmy would
Oh,
never
Jimmy.
trust you. Never trust you with that.
Totally
kind of
ruining my
power.
fun. That's what Jimmy lives to do. Ruin my fun.
Jimmy Fun Ruiner Allison.
He is the
Oh,
fun
dear.
police.
Oh dear. Do you want to know what the most amusing part of this session is? I'm assuming he's not done any practice, but his last place is Jarl Tyen.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
Oh yes, Anthony Yans.
Oh.
Presently a fair way up in the session. I do not currently have live splits, but we'll keep an eye on him as he comes to
Live
cross the
splits?
line.
How do you get that? Tell us how you get
No,
live
in game,
splits.
in game.
Oh,
But
you're,
I don't
you're
have
in
any.
game.
No, I'm not. But like, oh man,
I'm confused now. You've thrown us with that.
jeez.
It doesn't take
Accept
much to
that
confuse
this
me
is
when I'm not
magic.
ready. I'm totally
Oh, dear,
confused
he
now.
is-
You've lost me.
The splits aren't live. They've been successfully hunted and are now being prepared for later.
Oh,
well,
dear.
I won't be taking part in eating them
Why not?
because I'm vegetarian. Damn it!
Oh no.
Oscar,
And we've now got how many minutes left? Definitely 16 minutes of hearing about a vegetarian.
Yeah.
me
That's
and
more like
Oscar, there's this. I'm not going to
Musician.
go into too much detail. A musician who is, a very lovely person who's vegan.
Oh, vegans, right? Okay, well I can't.
Oh, hold
stand
on.
vegans.
Anthony Yans through the final sector now.
Oh, he
He's
pissed,
going to go
apparently.
to. He's not going to improve. He's
No,
going.
he had loads of traffic through the push curves.
Oh, right. That's why then. I didn't quite catch that, but yeah, Sian's pitted is say that. But what that does say is that he has got the pace to go onto pole position, which shocks absolutely no one.
Jans can do pole. Surprise!
Surprise, yeah. Oh dear. So, Oscar, what kind of times are you doing around the circuit?
Many
Large numbers.
times.
Oscar's not done any practice.
Well, I did some, but it was boring, so I stopped.
There is such a good reason why I will never do an endurance race with you, mate.
You can just
I
imagine
do.
getting 3 hours in and just going, nah, I'm bored now, pulls over
Less than
and
that.
retires.
Mate, we
Alright,
do.
3
But
minutes.
my car, my LMP2 car, has had 3 consecutive Room 1 podiums.
So,
Shut your face, because
maybe
we
that's
know
not
what we're
because
doing.
of you. You do not know what you're doing. Absolutely
Two of
not.
them were with my help.
So,
Just therefore,
one of them you were too busy prioritising real life or something.
I forget what. Oh yeah, I was in Scotland.
You in
land.
Scotland? Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Disgusting.
much more fun, but
Disgusting.
it was much more fun than running the Kilimanjaro circuit, to be fair.
Is that a thing?
Yeah?
He's.
I'm gonna find out what this is.
Never mind. Presently, though, 15 minutes to go. This is going to be a long end to the session as well, to have everyone do a 4-minute lap afterwards. So we're probably going to end in about 20 minutes. And can anyone take any of the pole positions away from any of these teams? So, as I say, it's still the 003 Revolution racing car of Christian Michaud on pole position with a 13.612. In LMP2, it's still Dennis Hadlack on pole position in a 29.122, although we do know that that pole position is under some fairly serious threat from Anthony Jans at the moment. Well, I called him Anthony. That feels really bad. I'm sorry, mate. Then it's the number 99 Team Vires car of Niki Jakovic, who's currently on pole position in GTE Pro. That one kind of under threat, but I don't see it. I can see that one going to the end quite comfortably and not having a big threat for pole position. And then we have the 845 Dark Racing car of Adam Taylor, who is currently on pole position. That time is not going to be threatened. That will be the pole time. I don't see that changing. He's beating it now. Did he just cross the line? Yeah, he did. He didn't beat by 0.3 of a second, a 51.211. So there we go. So he's beaten his pole time, but it's still him on pole. I don't expect that anyone else to really get close to that. He's just in a bit of control at the moment. But yes, as I say, I don't suspect the LMP1 pole to change. Oh, did someone see anything?
I just seen Adam Taylor go quicker still.
No, sorry, we've covered that, mate.
Oh
Don't
right,
worry.
well that's me being the stream.
Keep up, mate,
I was looking
keep
at the
up.
stream and not George,
It's
stop
all
it,
right.
man. You see, this is what happens when you don't
Keep
supply
up.
us
Well, the
about the
GT
halfway
Anfield
here and
would
it's
if
not
they
a
had the
race
Ferrari.
Oscar's very openly says this, and by very openly I mean any time there is a team speak with Adam Taylor on it, he will make sure that Adam Taylor knows that the Ferrari is
That's because he
OP'd.
says the Viper's as quick as the Ferrari, and that's just delusional.
Certainly not on the Anfield with the way that the field
No,
has
the
been
way
modded.
that the percentage on the dragon things affects
Ooh.
it, it completely screws everyone over.
Ooh,
But there you
ooh.
are.
Oh,
Sorry, yeah, no, my live timing's messed up and has put the 137 Team RGPL car down. I think it's just got very confused. Ignore that one. But I will say that the 301 Revolution car of Jarl Tyen jumped from last place up to 8th in class, which now means there is not a GTE Pro at the bottom of the field. Congratulations, Jarl.
Jarl double space tie-in.
Jarl double space tie-in, yeah. Jarl double space tie-in to make me angry. Also, there was an improvement. I believe it was the number 29 Sim HQ Motorsports car that jumped up into 4th in class in LMP2.
Yep, he has indeed.
And also the number 43 3-wide Motorsports car has done a 3-minute 54.000. Nice and clean. I like that. Congratulations. Don't improve. Thanks.
I say, just the OCD is perfect there.
Yes. Nothing makes me more angry than things that affect my OCD, like Oscar, or Jarl double space tie-in.
Why do I do
That
your
is-
OCD, Lewis? Why do I do it?
Because you're wrong. Everything you do is wrong and annoying.
True.
And you run a brand set up around Donington, mate. That's not
Yes.
right.
I technically won more races than you did by doing it. So never mind that. I ran a Brands Indy setup around Thruxton.
Oh god, you're brave.
Well, I
Yeah,
was
that's
fine.
bravery, though.
It,
I mean, it
was
worked really well in race 1, mate.
it did. It worked really well until some idiot crashed into me. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Not naming
Well,
any
sorry,
names, but from now
we
we'll be
just-
known as S.Idiot when I see him on the servers. So
Oh dear, I'd love for that just to be a thing. Because obviously the broadcast overlay is customizable, so you can, change people's names and stuff like that. I'd love for someone just to pop up as S.Idiot. That would just be, oh man.
it'll always
we've
be
had
you.
funnier names this season.
Thanks, mate.
We've had funnier names. We've had Alex Piccolo for one.
Oh, we do have some good ones, but I'd rather not get to it on the broadcast because some of them aren't so. So they're not
Suitable.
broadcast friendly. It's that people watch this, and I'd rather it not get back to me.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
What it is I don't want to hear my stupid puns about people's names.
Mm.
That-
Everyone
that
loves
also.
puns.
James Kirk's the pun master.
No, Eric Strana.
Oh,
You'll
Strana's
never
the pun
get
master and Kirk's second
get
in
more
line.
annoyed sitting on TeamSpeak with him and his puns.
Yeah.
Oh come on, they are brilliant.
They're terrible. He's an awful human being.
I actually try with my puns, but they always relate to things that nobody gets.
Indeed. Oh, wow, that would be so annoying. The 102 Atlantic Motorsports car completed a lap that was 1/10 off of his previous lap. Nothing is more annoying than seeing that.
That is annoying.
Strana is Swedish, yes.
Sweden.
Sweden? I know, because we love, like Swedish chef and all that. And that is Eric.
He's actually known by his family as Bjorkensen.
The third.
That is
But-
so stereotypical.
Yes. Oh, dear. Less than 10 minutes to go, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's the 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, I don't see this order changing very much. It's almost like, as I say, we were discussing this earlier, that this is probably one of the worst times for the traffic due to just how busy it's going to be.
Yeah.
At this moment, we have 5 cars still in the pit lane, which means that the track has 35 cars on it right now. Of course, when we go into the race, we're going to have all 40 out there, and that's fine. But in the race, you're not trying to put together a lap that's going to put you on pole position. Whereas in this session, you are, and it's so busy and so stressful for some of these drivers that, yeah, I can see this being extremely difficult. We're having a few people escaping out as well, and maybe getting ready for that last push, that last stint. We are closing in on that time where they're not going to get another lap in. I'd suggest when obviously we have about 4 minutes to go, I'd be surprised if anyone left the pit lane after that. maybe an LMP1 team, but I'd find it unlikely.
I think even P2s with the traffic will struggle to get round in 4
Yeah.
minutes, especially if you've got to give way to P1s. You really need at least 4.5, I'd say, to be, and then even then you're pushing it.
Yeah. Also, you've got to remember that if you're just going, if you're just umming and ahhing and then going out with, 3.5 minutes to go or whatever in an LMP1 car, sure, you've got an extra 15 seconds. However, you don't know where the clear space is going to be. So it's all that kind of stuff that is just very hard to judge.
So it is a big gamble, especially the hard one with P2s to judge is the GT traffic, because you could sit there in the pit lane and think, oh, they're a minute and a half around the track, I'll be fine. But by the time you're on your actual qualifying lap, you could have caught them, and that's your lap gone, ruined.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the difference between GTE Pro pole and LMP1 pole is just over 30 seconds. So that's the kind of judgment that you've always got to have. Remembering that is a pole time, not all GTE Pros can run that. So you, as an LMP1 driver to a GTE Pro, you have to know which ones are GTE Pros and judge yourself, at least when you're starting a lap, a 30-second gap. Or plan yourself maybe a 10-second gap so that you'll be overtaking him on the Mulsanne, etc., because you're never going to get a 30-second gap. Not around here. There's just not going to be a 30-second window. It's those kind of judgments that are really, really tricky. And obviously, one person that's not really struggling with that was Christian Michel, who's just figured it all out. Really.
Yeah, he's a second ahead. He's almost walked away with it. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, it is about finding those points where you can overtake on the straights, where you're not compromising your lines into corners or anything.
It's a very difficult judgment to have. I know for a lot of these guys, this is why you're going to see a lot of people just immediately aborting laps, to be honest, is as soon as you've got someone in front of you, it's like, nope, escape, or whatever, because there's just no point. Not now. I mean, at this point, I would expect that every single team has done a decent lap. I would be amazed if a team hasn't done a lap that was all right. Oh,
I've just seen the game area 51 in GT Pro go up a bit.
Oh yes, they've just done a 51.5. They've gone to 7th position. Of course, that is a team that is one of the substitute teams that's not in the top 10 of the standings. However, has been allowed entry into GT Pro in Room 1 due to Scuderia Leone pulling out of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So that space is opened up for them, and qualifying 7th in what we all know is an extremely competitive class is a very impressive feat. Although we are under now 3 minutes to go, and I will tell you this: 4 LMP1 teams are in the pit lane. The 003 Revolution Racing Car, Christian Michel's pretty much confident in his job that it is done. The SRVN, the IRG Motorsports GP car, and Champion Racing, all 4 of them are in the pit lane, which does leave an LMP1 Scuderia GT Italia RGPL, Doug Henson Racing, both of the cars, 3 wide, and Feeder Sport on the track. Are any of them going to be able to take that pole position? Various people are escaping, and we've got a very big clump of traffic leaving our Arnage. That's GT traffic. There's another escape. The PRL Logitech car, the pole position in that category, they've escaped as well. So I'm not sure if we're actually going to see any more improvements.
So it's the worst place to get traffic as well on the exit of Arnage, right into Porsche curves, where all these prototypes, being so aero dependent, they want their clean lines, they don't want traffic in front. It's really not a place you want to catch those GT cars.
It absolutely is not. It's one of the worst places. As soon as you're approaching Arnage and you can see a GT in front of you, but it's just too far ahead of you, you're sitting there going, well, this lap's done. Great.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's
The thing is, we still have 1 minute 40 to go, so people still crossing the line, still have another lap. I'd say that would go as far back as maybe just on the entrance of Indianapolis now with 1.5 minutes to go, on that straight between Indianapolis and Mulsanne Corner. That is your cut-off point at the moment. There's currently a big clump of drivers, including Kieran Parkin is in there as well as an LMP1. There is also Berenek, who's also in that gap. Stephen Bailey's escaped. He's done. in 5th position. So there is a clump of drivers there. Provided Kieran Parkin clears that, and same with Berenek, provided those two clear that, if they don't get too far ahead here, they've got quite a big gap to the next car on track, which is a GTE AM. So that's going to be an interesting one to focus on as we have less than a minute to go.
I've just seen a change down to GTM as well.
A change to GTM? It was the Magenta Warriors car.
Yeah, I was just about to say the Magenta car's just moved up a bit. So Eric Strana going a bit quicker there. We don't have much longer to go in the session now.
I was about to say that I'm just trying to think. In the P2s, the run up from Arnage was about a minute. Between 50 seconds to a minute. So anybody coming through there now in the prototypes should get another lap in. But do they have the fuel for it? That's the question.
It is going to be the question is if you've got the fuel. I know at least LMP1 Rise, you can take a few extra litres because it just doesn't matter that much, and it's better to have that extra lap. Kieran Parkin seems to have timed this really well because he's just cleared the last bit of traffic, which is an LMP1, and he has got clear road ahead of him. Same as David Berenek. They do have a GTE AM a bit further down the road. Hopefully that won't cause them problems, but those two have got a fair bit of clear space at the moment as people continue to escape, as people's work seems to be fairly done.
I'm just keeping an eye on my 121 car, obviously the one I drive for, and they've gone green in sectors 1 and 2. So hopefully they've taken the whole session to try and find a decent lap. Can they get it in as the final one? I hope so.
I will also say this. We were talking about GTM. There was also another improvement in there. It was the number 67 Texas Drivers car. They've gone to 5th in class, moving Vodball Racing and Magenta Warriors a bit further down the order. They've done a 54.275. At the moment, there was also the number 51 Sim Racing for Holocar. Marcel Offermans has gone to 6th in class in LMP2. LMP2, I'm looking at the colours. In GTEM, rather, a 350.790. So a good lap from him.
SRVN, the number 11 car in GT Pro, also improved, I think, on a 350.3. The 121 DR crossed with a 330 as well, but didn't improve from 8th in P2.
That SRVN car wasn't actually improving. It was close, but not quite.
Fair enough.
The 3 wide car has crossed the line and finished its lap in LMP1. It was a 1/10 off of his previous best. But yes, the final few seconds here. Are there going to be any more improvements?
I think I've just seen the Texas Drivers car go up a bit.
Yep, that has improved on a 354.275. That's
SRVN improved in GT Pro as well.
Well, people are leaving, which is really making this more awkward. Great. Nikodem Wisniewski does cross the line and does improve. He does a 13.9, so he drags that pole gap down to 0.3 of a second. That was a very good lap. Did the leaving cost anyone any time? We only have one LMP1 on track, and he's off. He's crashed, so that is LMP1 done and dusted. I'm pretty sure people are still leaving, so that's pretty great.
Anthony Jans is still on the lap.
We also have Bram Beelan, I think. Is it true? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I think
really
improved,
confused.
But...
Yeah, this has gotten really confused because everyone's been leaving, so that's great.
Nobody knows what's happening.
Presently, though, are we getting any more improvements across the grid? We just had an LMP2. Anthony Jans did improve. Not enough, though. It was a 29.353. Drags that pole time down to just over 0.2 of a second. So people are still improving. People are still finding that little bit of time. So these laps do mean something. I believe Eric Strana has crashed on the exit of the Porsche curves. Or at least has pulled off and stopped, at least according to my track map.
I do feel for Anthony Jans because he was down in the first 2 sectors, so he's brought all that time back in the third.
Must have been a very good third sector.
Definitely.
Let's have a look here. The 55 ROTW car is going to cross the line. That's no improvement, I don't think. No improvement. No improvement from the LMP2 car of SimHQ Motorsports either. Other ones that are on laps. Oh god, everyone's still messing about. That's great. We've got the number 67 Texas Drivers car that's just about to come through the final sector now. Is that going to improve? Nope, it was a 55.0. And then we do have Adam Taylor and Bram Beelan, who are the next two to come round, and that will end the session completely.
Yep.
So Bram Beelan into the Ford chicane now. Is this going to be an improvement for the driver? I'm not really sure what the sector splits are like. Comes through the final part of it and about to cross the line. Currently a 348.389.
No,
Does a 348.906.
it's about
no
just about
improvement.
6/10 off, wasn't he? It's not quite there.
Adam Taylor will now move, or is there not going to be one? No, I don't think so. No. There we go, though. That there has sorted out our qualifying order, at least provisionally, for the 24 hours of Le Mans. And yes, I'm deeply impressed with the 003 car there of Revolution Racing. Of course, Feeder Sport Poland getting involved there in the LMP1 category, and obviously Piro, Logitech, Team Vires, and Dark Racing taking pole positions in LMP2, GTE Pro, and GTE AM as well. Either way, keep an eye on the forum over the next few days, of course, for the qualifying orders officially after all cutting has been checked, which will take a little while, of course. And until then, I'm pretty sure we can also thank you to Ben Willis, Josh Anderson, and Oscar Harbuck for joining us over the last 2 hours, and Jimmy Allison for doing cameras, and of course to the wonderful people that will be check cutting over the next couple of weeks. But yes, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be returning for the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the final round of Season 8. And can any of these teams that have taken pole position convert that into a race win, or can anyone else challenge? Of course, we've got the race to wrap up, and indeed all of the championships. Keep an eye for a document that Kieran Parkin will post a little bit later about the championship permutations. Very, very interesting document. One that really everyone needs to read. There's loads of different variations there. But it's also apparently just started to rain. So fantastic. That's all the stuff that we can look forward to on the build up for Le Mans. And until then, we hope to see you there. So until then, goodbye.